So, Pastor Randy here with Pastor Micah, and we have a really big event coming up this Sunday, don't we?
September 13th, right?
We are doing what kind of worship?
We're going to be doing indoor, in-person worship for the first time in 6 months.
March?
Yeah, it was actually Friday, March 13th when we got together in our office and decided to shut everything down because of COVID. It's kind of crazy that exactly 6 months to the day we're going to be having indoor, in-person worship in this room for the first time. 8:30 a.m. Sunday the 13th.
8:30 in person. So obviously we still want to submit to government recommendations, as the safety of God's people is always a priority here. So what is this going to look like in terms of mask here at St. Peter for the service?
Yeah, good question. So all of us are getting used to kind of wearing and carrying around these masks. And when you come to church on this Sunday, if you want to join us, we're going to ask everyone to wear their masks. The only exception to that would be the pastor up front here. It's a good distance from where people would be out in the pews, and so we're going to have the pastors have their masks off, and everyone else in the room will have their masks on. And that'll also help because we're going to continue to do our live stream of this service. So if you watch the 8:30 service and want to do that from home, you're going to still be able to do that.
Okay, so what about then, they'll notice differences when they come in with the seating out here in the pews.
Yeah.
Because obviously we'll do spacing.
Yep.
And then the pews look a little different too.
Yeah.
As well as what's not in them.
All right, well, let me take you there and show you. Okay, so one of the first things that you'll notice is we've taken out all the pew cushions. I think they even got that last section done over there. And the reason for this is we're trying to look for the ways to make this easy to clean and sanitize after every time we have a group in the room. And so Sunday afternoon, our cleaning crew will come in here and make sure that everything is clean and ready to go for the start of the school week on Monday. We've also taken out all the pens and envelopes, the hymnals and the Bibles, just things that people could touch. We don't want to have any points of contact, and we also don't want them to get damaged when we do the sanitization of the room. So everything you will need to worship will be on the screens, but if you want to bring your Bibles from home to be able to follow along, that would be a great thing to do. Just keep your own Bible with you in the pew, and if you have a hymnal and you want to follow along with that, you can bring that from home as well. If you don't have one at home, we'll have some out and available for you to pick up and use during the season. We just encourage you to bring it back when we're back to post-COVID normal, whatever that looks like. So when you do enter into the room, by the way, there will be a host volunteer in each of the main aisles. And what they will do is to help you find a seat that's socially distant enough from the others that are in the room. So if you can imagine we have someone sitting right here, then we would skip a pew and maybe go towards the middle or the other end just to spread out everybody as much as we can. With a maximum capacity of 25% of what we would normally be able to fit in the room, so that would work out to be about 125 people in the room total. For this first weekend, we are not doing any advanced registration. We'll show you a little bit later how you can sign in, and we do our self-certification at our check-in station and temperature screening. And so just to make sure we have enough room for everybody, we will have overflow capacity in the Life Center if we get above 125 people. After that, from week to week, Pastor Randy will just figure out how best to monitor the number of people in the room. And then after a few weeks or a couple months, we'll reevaluate what our times and services are moving forward based on what we're actually seeing people choose to do. So let's go out to the lobby and we can take a look at the next stop out there. So come on, Pastor Randy.
All right, so Pastor Micah, tell me about how the offering and communion will be a little different this Sunday in person.
Okay, yeah, so when you enter into this place, after you've gone through our security checkpoint, we'll talk about that in a moment, you have an opportunity. This is not the table we'll have out here. This is just a prop for today. But you have an opportunity to leave your offering, if you have a cash or check offering in an envelope, for example, on your way into church. And then you'll also be able to pick up some communion elements if that's something you're going to participate in that weekend. We'll do that every other weekend, coordinated with our drive-up communion option. You'll take these little cups with you to where you're seated in the sanctuary at your pew, and then at that point in the service, the pastor will give you the direction for when to take communion. You'll keep your trash pieces with you afterwards, and then we'll have a receptacle for you to drop that on the way out.
Okay, and for those who aren't comfortable coming in person yet, which is completely fine, we will still offer drive-up communion at the Circle Drive, correct?
Yep, through at least October, we're going to continue the every other week rhythm of worship on the lawn and drive-up communion. So communion Sundays will be on those every other week drive-up communion Sundays.
Great.
Okay. All right, sit over here.
So now what can they expect to see when they first come in the building here on Sunday morning?
Okay, so the first thing to know is we want you to park in the parking lot on this side of our campus. So that's Highland Avenue off of Olive, and then walk up this sidewalk here. And what we normally would do is have a station outside, but because of the rain right now, we're not going to do it outside. And it'll look something like this. Hand sanitizer, industrial volume, because we go through a lot of that. And then there will be someone who will take your temperature, and it'll go just kind of like this. Let me see, Randy. All right. 97.1, right? Super quick and easy. And if you haven't already printed off or picked up a copy of this form, we're going to have you fill it out here, right? And what this is it's a worship attendance form, has a place for your family name as well as up to 4 individuals. If you have more than 4 in your family, just do a second form. And we'd write down what your temperature is. So if you do this at home, if you have a thermometer like this or any other thermometer, we'd ask you to take your temperature at home. We're still going to take it here just to double check. And then there's 4 questions that are standard for anyone entering our campus. Have you returned from any known hotspot in the last 14 days? Have you had close contact with someone or cared for someone diagnosed with COVID in the last 14 days? Have you experienced any of the symptoms? And it lists them all. Or have you been in contact with anyone who's traveled to a hotspot in the last 14 days? You're going to check yes or no, depending on whether that's true about you or not. And then we'll have a little box or basket for you to put this form in. Nobody else is going to touch it, but we'll put it into a bag. We'll hold on to that in case there's an issue of COVID and we have to do contact tracing. Otherwise, that just kind of helps us keep track of who's in the room on that day. So, as always, if you are having any of the symptoms or have been in close contact with anyone who has COVID, we're going to ask you to stay home and watch on our live stream. But if you're feeling healthy and you're ready to be in person, start in the parking lot, come through our security checkpoint, you'll get screened and then admitted. Head over and grab your communion. If it's a communion Sunday, drop off your offering and head into the sanctuary where you'll be seated and join us for worship. When worship is over, we're going to encourage everyone to just exit the building as quickly as possible. Head to your cars or the parking lot. You can chat with people outside. That's up to you. But we want to be able to get the building ready for our next service and limit the possibility of exposure. So that's what in-person worship is going to be like. We're excited to be able to have this as a new part of our worship life, and we're excited to be able to welcome you to worship when you're ready.
All right. See you Sunday.
See you Sunday.